Hi everybody, this is Steve Young, personal trainer here at Boomer Fitness, and in this video we're just going to try to talk about some of the more beneficial ideas when it comes to methods of exercise. Once again, talking about our older population, older men, mainly older men, age 50 plus. And the first thing I want to just throw out there, it's important to recognize that there's really no such thing as a perfect workout, and it's for a variety of reasons. These are just general principles that we're trying to apply to our thinking when we try to design a workout to suit your goals and your needs. Especially in the age 50 plus population, because of lifestyle choices, history of exercise, there's such a huge diversity in the ability level and also in the goals of what they want to attain here at the gym. So for that reason, there's no perfect end-all be-all workout that's going to be best for everybody. And also, I also just want to mention that age and gender really don't necessarily matter when it comes to choosing a workout. I mean, just because one man is 60 and one person is 40, it doesn't necessarily mean that the 40-year-old is going to be able to do more than the 60-year-old, but just based on percentages and statistics, and there's just a higher likelihood that we need to consider more things, maybe assess the 60-year-old a little bit more, just because of the the percentages associated with risk of injury and and disease, because aging is a real thing. It does happen, so we just need to consider those things, but we should never rule out the possibility that he may be more capable than the 40-year-old. So again, these are just general principles we want to apply to exercise for older men. Okay. Once again, when we're here in the gym, what we want to focus on is how can we improve our ability to perform. So for this population, functional exercise is usually their goal. They want to look better just like everybody else, but more importantly, they want to be able to do more with their body, have a more fulfilling life. They want to be able to do their house chores, mow their lawn, do things like that, not have lower back pain when they're doing those things. Those are the things that are really more important. You want to be able to go for a hike and look around while you're hiking, enjoy the sights without tripping and falling. Just to mention a couple things, but you can go on and on as far as what's really good reasons for wanting to exercise in a functional way. So how do we improve our ability to perform outside of the gym? And in a previous video I mentioned that there are 3 planes of motion we want to focus on. So not only just training in this front to back sagittal plane of motion, we want to do movements that involve side to side movements and also rotations. And we also want to structure our workout plan around doing compound multi-joint movements, not just doing curls and extensions and things that you really don't need to do too much in real life, but doing things when we pushing with our shoulders and our arms, and maybe bending over and picking something up and then pulling in this way rather than just doing single joint isolation stuff all the time. So compound movements are important, and then focusing on the movements that the human body is really able to do, which are pushing, pulling, squatting, lunging, bending, rotating, and walking while maintaining good balance, things of that nature. So this is how we're going to improve our ability to perform outside of the gym, is by having this sort of mindset when we train here in the gym. So, and another thing that's important to mention is we want to try to avoid using a lot of machines, like machines that have the movement really strictly strictly set in a range of motion that is not really dynamic. Things like the chest press machines that you just load the weights on. All those machines that you see in corporate gyms, a lot of those you really don't want to spend a whole lot of time, because in real life we don't do pushing and pulling movements seated in a chair. Usually we're standing, we're pushing the lawnmower, or we're starting up the lawnmower, we're pulling while we're standing, and we need to engage our whole body. And so we want to avoid machines and seated exercises unless it's really absolutely necessary. And there are cases where it is necessary. If somebody has lower back pain or something when they're doing some of the standing exercises, then maybe seated exercises could be valuable, because we can build up some of the muscles associated with that movement. But we should do it with the goal of getting them able to, or with the goal of in the future building their ability up to do them standing and do them in a more functional way. So we're just using seated exercises and isolation exercises as an accessory to help build up their functionality over time. Okay. All right. So what do we want to focus on? We don't want to do, like I said, we don't want to do machines, and we don't want to do seated stuff, and we don't want to do a whole lot of kind of like isolation movements that aren't really functional. So, one of the great modes of exercise is bodyweight exercises. Bodyweight exercises are fantastic because you're training yourself to move the human body through space. Push-ups, squatting, lunging, calisthenics. Those are about as functional as it gets because you're literally just moving your body around, and that's what we're going to do outside the gym. So bodyweight exercises are fantastic. In addition to bodyweight exercises, what kind of resistance exercises do we want to add? Because as I talked about before, bodyweight exercises are great, and you can make progress with them. You can add more sets, more reps, and do more over time. So you can progress with them, but if we're trying to build strength up, we need to add some resistance to our training in some way. And bodyweight exercise, there's no external resistance that's going to really help us get stronger over time. So what forms of resistance training do we want to do? I just mentioned we don't want to do a whole lot of machines, and we don't want to do a whole lot of seated exercises. So what is good? As I just said, training in 3 planes of motion is important. So getting resistance not only in this plane, but getting resistance from the side is good. So Dyna Bands and cables are fantastic because they allow us to add resistance in multiple planes of motion. So for example, I have here just a cable machine, and compared to the machines in the gym or using a set of dumbbells, which dumbbells can be great by the way, but this thing is awesome because it allows me to add resistance going in this direction. So I can do exercises where maybe I'm standing here. Maybe I'll stand out here a little bit. But if I'm standing here and doing things like lunges, I can do functional movements where I'm adding resistance in a different direction. And that's not something that we really have the ability to do when we're just thinking about using machines and cables and I have a Dyna Band here. I can do the same thing. I can do things like, maybe I can do my lunges with a Dyna Band, and now I have resistance going out to the side. Or maybe I can do rotation type movements. And achieving that kind of dynamic resistance is hard to do with dumbbells and machines. So with machines, in many cases, it's actually impossible. So cables and Dyna Bands are great because they change the direction of the resistance, and they allow for a much more variety of exercises. Also, I have here a TRX, so we're talking about good beneficial methods of exercise. So one thing that we can do is we can also add support, and this is just one of many ways. You can just hold on to something else, like you can hold on to a countertop or whatever it may be, but say we have somebody who is not able to squat because they're just not quite strong enough. Maybe they're not quite able to lunge because maybe their knees just doesn't feel right, or they're just getting started and they don't have the confidence to go through that movement. We can also add external support to allow us to build up those movements over time. And so, for example, I can use, this is a TRX here, a suspension trainer. I can hold on to this and go through things like squats, go through lunges. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that we're trying to train in all these different planes of motion, and just because you're not quite able to do these movements, there are ways that we can add extra support, modify movements. There's many different ways to modify things so that we can build yourself up to eventually being able to do them on your own without using the support. And that in itself is a progression right there, by having support initially and then building your strength up to the point where you can do it by yourself. And then furthermore, eventually maybe you can add a weight to the exercise. So external support can be a great tool. And then lastly, although I didn't mean to knock barbells and dumbbells at all, because those are outstanding, because those are a great way to do your major compound movements. So although you can't add resistance going in different directions, they're really a great tool to use because you can do things like your squats and your lunges and your presses and your pulls, and you can add. They're a really easy way to add progression to what you're doing. So for your major movements, we need to get stronger. We need to have focus on those key movements like squatting and lunging, but we also need to have a way to make progress. And barbells and dumbbells are great because it's very easy to program the progression in, because you simply increase your weight over time. So I think that they're fantastic addition to doing those free weight exercises. In addition to all the tools I just talked about, we're talking here about beneficial methods of exercise, and when it comes to our older population, never underestimate the value of simply walking more, going outside and just increasing your exercise and activity outside of the gym. There's so much great value for your cardiovascular health, and also just maintaining the leg strength to go for hikes and stuff like that. Walking is excellent, and I just wanted to throw in one more thing, and that's yoga. Yoga is a fantastic tool. I like to think of yoga as it's such a great way to figure out where your personal weak points are. It's all done with just your body weight. So this kind of just goes back to what I was talking about before with bodyweight exercise being great. But if you've ever been to a yoga class, of course you need to make sure that you find a good instructor who's going to really watch out for your form. And there's so many different styles of instructors, but every time you leave a yoga class, you'll really have a better understanding of where you have weak points are. They really do a great job of exposing them. I know myself, I have pretty tight shoulders, and just like everybody else, I have certain imbalances in my body, and there are certain yoga moves that I struggle with. And when I leave a yoga class, I always have some new insight into where I personally have weaknesses, and it kind of gives me more knowledge into what I need to focus on when I structure my training program. So yoga is fantastic. So I'm going to throw that in there as another great mode of exercise, especially for our older population, age 50 plus. So, hope you found some of these tips useful, and once again, we'll see you in the next video, and have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in for this great exercise video, and I hope you enjoyed the content as much as I did. If you look below in the description box, you'll notice there's a link, and when you click on that link, it's going to take you to another page where you'll enter your email address. When you enter your email address, I'll give you your first week of workouts so you can take your fitness to the next level. So just go down the box below, click the link in the description box, it'll take you to that next page, and enter your email address. Also, when you look below, there's a subscribe button. When you click the subscribe button, you'll see a little bell. You want to click that little bell, and it'll keep you alerted when I come up with great content that you've asked for to keep your fitness and your health going to the next level. Also, make sure you go below in the comments section, leave any comments, questions, concerns, things that you want us to create for you. I'll be happy to produce that for you. Make it a great day.